Thanks for watching. In the previous video I have painted up this Vanquish Phoenix body. It was a lot of fun. This is an extremely nicely designed body. It comes in 3 pieces, and you do have 2 extra pieces that you also need to paint. So we're going to do that in this video, and that is actually the interior panel. I wanted to do this in like a separate video because especially on an interior panel there's such an amount of stuff that you can do with the clear overspray film that is already attached to this panel. So use it to your benefit. So that's what we're going to do today. We're not going to use any tape, or maybe we're going to use a minimum amount of tape, but not like a whole lot. So we're not going to go completely crazy, cut a lot of stuff and whatnot. We're really going to use this to its full potential, hopefully, and showcase what can be done with a few really easy steps. We're also not going to use a ton of color. We are, however, going to use some PS paint and some TS paint just to show what is possible. This entire thing is painted using PS paint. In case you have missed the video in which I painted this one up, go check out the link in the video description box, or alternatively I will link it over here in the top of your screen. If you hear my 3D printer running, that is because I'm currently finishing up a die, so a clamp stamp, whatever you want to clamp stamp, that's a funny word, whatever you want to call it, to put some mesh in the front grille of this Phoenix body. That file was supplied to me by Dana Surratt. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I will make sure that there's a link to his Instagram profile in the video description box, so you can check out what he's up to. He's a really creative guy and really kind as well in supplying me with the file that I needed to 3D print this die, so I can finish up this thing completely and add a little amount of detail as well in a place where I think it really matters and where it really shows. So this body, fantastic, a lot of detail already included. If you add some of your own, it really, I think, will knock it out of the park. This panel, as always, you start off by washing it. I always use some hand soap and hot water. Make sure that you wipe off all of the water residue afterwards. And then after it is fully dried up and completely clean, make sure that there's no fingerprints on anything. Keep it really clean. Make sure that you have some hot water to put your paint cans in. That way you up the pressure inside of those paint cans a tiny bit. Makes it really easy to spray. You get a more even coat, and it also lasts a lot longer than it would if you would not put it in any hot water. So that's a really good trick, I think. Use like I use a tiny pan, but you can also use, well, whatever, you know, if you have like a plastic tub or anything like it, just put an inch of hot water in it, put your paint cans in there, and just let them sit over there for a while. Let them get up on that pressure inside, and reap the benefits of it afterwards. The first coat we're going to start out with is a black, and we're going to paint that on the back of the panel like you would usually do. After that is when we're going to go through some of the more elaborate steps in making this thing look good. Alright, the black is on, so that's the most important step actually already done. You will perhaps see that this is a bit transparent, so I don't have full coverage on this coat. So you can almost see straight through it. I'm not sure if it shows, but you don't need more coverage than this either. You always need to check what it actually is that you're going to do with a certain panel, how it's going to sit. This is going to sit inside the body. There's not going to be any light pouring through from underneath. So with that as well, you can get away with just like a mild dusting of a certain color. In this case as well, I'm going to cover those seats on the outside too. So I don't have a need for this to be completely covered in paint. So just have a look to see what you can get away with, because that will save you a ton of paint eventually. I will now start cutting the seats, so the clear overspray film on the outside of this panel, and peel that off. After that I will give that a coat of, well, either flat clear or white, whatever you have. just so I have a base coat for that TS paint to etch into. If I use a white, I have a really nice popping base for whatever color it is that I'm going to use. If I'm going to use a flat clear, I also have a good coat for that TS paint to attach itself to, but of course I will have a bit less of a sparkling color, to put it like that. So if you start off with a white, your TS color will really appear as clear as possible. If you want to really tone it down a tiny bit, just go with like a flat clear in this case, and then lay your TS over that. Let's cut first. Looking pretty good. I've never used this TS1 tint before on an interior, but I really like it. It has like a really nice, warm, rich, chocolate-like color to it. So what I will be doing right now is I'm going to let this cure for a tiny bit. After that, I'm going to determine what I want to let appear in a flat black. And in order to do that, we're going to peel a couple of sections of that interior and spray those again with a flat clear. A flat clear over the top of this TS won't affect it at all, so you can just safely go ahead and build it up like that. I also want some stuff to appear glossy, just because that kind of hints at it having more depth than it actually has. I have in the past actually ruined interiors by, in the final stage, spraying a flat clear on it, while I should have perhaps refrained from that and used the gloss of the Lexan just to create a tiny bit more depth. So in this case, what I will be doing is the floorboards and also the front over here, on top of which that dashboard will sit. That stuff, I want that to appear glossy. That way I get kind of like a mirror effect from the tunnel over here. So that will seem a bit deeper than it currently is. I will also have a mirror effect mirroring the door, giving it like more of a 3D interior effect, because well, despite this being a nice interior, it is not full depth, of course, because you have all those electronics sitting below it. So that's hopefully a good tip for you in case you also want to spray an interior panel. Of course, the parcel shelf, all that stuff, we're going to flat that out just to make it appear realistic. All right, let's cut and peel again and then spray. Too long. It's time to move on to keep me strong. Let it uncover my skin. Every part of me is fighting to win. Sin City waiting for me. Around the corner I'm aching to be. Double trouble, my new middle name. Next time you see me, I won't be the same. Well, with that, all the paintwork on this Vanquish Phoenix, this Vanquish VS4-10 Phoenix, because that's what it's fully called, is done. I really like that chocolate-like tint that I have going on in that interior. This is a color I have never used before, and I will absolutely use it again, just because I really like the warm tint and also how it contrasts with the outside. Outside, lots of flakes and stuff going on. If you're wondering how I did that, go check out the previous video in which I've painted up the entire body shell of this Phoenix. The only sticker I used on the outside is the one over here in the back on that fuel cell toolbox, whatever that thing actually is, trunk. So over there I did want to add that sticker also because I think in that part using a sticker kind of contrasts nicely with the fact that I haven't used any other stickers, and I did use all of the stickers on the interior panel just to detail it up a tiny bit. There are a bunch of 3D printable parts available on my mini factory that you can check out for this interior by Night Customs, for example. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by pressing the like button, and if you have not subscribed yet, please do. More videos coming. I think the next video will be again about an interior, because we have the interior for the short version of the SCX6 to tackle. So that's what's going on over here. So I'm going to chop this up. How that will end up, you will see that in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Test. We're back on.